Don't record me right now.
You said record.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the greatest chef of all time, way better than Paula Deen. It's Andrew Verso. What's up, guys? It's me and all my sexiness. As you can see by my sweater, we are making duck today. This is for Joe. I'm making chicken pot pie today. And the way I make it varies every single time on most things. Today, I'm going to use, well, I'm going to pretend that Simone's not trying to steal my code. I'm going to use red potatoes today. I've done it several times where I've used, just take some of the Coke. It's super distracting. I've done it several times where I've made it with baking potatoes, yellow potatoes, gold potatoes. Really, it's a preference thing on what you like in your potatoes. If you use gold potatoes, it changes the color of everything and makes it taste a little different. But Simone likes red potatoes, so we're going to do red potatoes. So you got to peel it so that there's no skin on it. I'm not going to show you how to peel it. Everybody knows how to peel a potato. What's Mo? Okay, so if you're using red potatoes for this, probably like 5 because they're smaller. If you're using just normal like baked potatoes, just use like 2 of those. And then you just cut these. There's not like a specific way. Just cut them in half. Cut them again. I like to make little like multi cuts in it. So they're like tiny little rectangles. Okay, so I see we have potatoes. Oh, they're good already. Then you get a big ass pan. Now, this pan it used to say big ass pan across it, but you know, after years of use, it's faded. So if you don't have a pan that says big ass pan, you know, or I should say big ass pot, just get a pot and fill it with some water. And you put the taters in them, and you cut up some carrots. I don't have the carrots out right now, but you cut up some carrots. You can put celery in it too, and you put all of that in a pot. You fill it with water. You put on the magic heating thing, whatever this thing is called, and then you just let them. You bring it to a boil until the potatoes are cooked, and then we'll get to the next step in a minute. I'm not crying, I'm sweating through my eyes. No, alright, so then you take an onion and you just cut some. The recipe, the whole recipe, which was you can find on, don't tell anybody I told you this, but I'm going to tell you where I got my recipe from. Go to this magical thing called a computer and hit up the Googles, the Gigglies, as I referred to it when I was younger, the Gigglies, and search up chicken pot pie, and you want the Good Home or whatever Home and Gardens thing. If not, put it in the comments or email us and I can get it for you. They just said to have a couple cups of onions. I don't use that much. You really don't need it for anything. But you just cut up some onion. I'm crying for real now. It's real bad. Just cut up some onion. You dice it. If you don't know what dicing is, watch the Food Network. You don't actually have to dice it. You just have to cut it. And we're going to use this for something later, but I'm actually crying. This never happens to me. Oh. As my camera woman so rudely pointed out, I did not mention you want to get the boneless, skinless chicken breasts. This is. You want to get the titties that are boneless and skinless of the chickens. You happy? Anyway, so you just want to pop this bitch open. Okay, so once you have the chicken cut, go ahead and put it in a frying pan with some oil. Plop it in there. And you want to white this, I guess I should call it. It's not brown. The potatoes and carrots, when they start boiling like that, you could go ahead and drain them with a strainer. And we're coming to the end of what we're going to need 2 people for this for. So, go ahead and turn the camera to yourself. Thank yourself. Can you stir that for a second? Okay, so now we're going to start making the gravy for our chicken pot pie. So what you need for this is chicken broth. You need 1.5 cups. Of chicken broth. You need 3/4 cup of milk. I like to just use this 1/4 3 times. I also like to just pour the milk and the chicken broth in because unless you're some kind of crazy ass cyborg with 9 arms, the recipe online tells you to pour the milk, the chicken broth, and the flour all in at once while stirring. Unless you're some crazy ass cyborg with 9 arms, you kinda can't do it. Brown? Okay. It's all done, you can go ahead and just like lower the heat or something. Okay. So with the milk and the chicken broth done and put it in its cup, okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so now what you need is 1/2 tablespoon of thyme and of pepper. the time would open. Hee, I got the time open. Suck on that time. I mean time the spice, not time like more hours in the day. We all need that. Alright, so I'm just gonna put in this little glass petri dish. Make it easier. So thyme, pepper. Now, if you've never made gravy from scratch, it's gonna look weird. There'll be chunks in it. It's okay. You didn't mess up. It's just the flour. And then with the salt, you need a whole teaspoon. I know that's a lot of salt. You can use less if you want. We're going to bring you over here so you can see what I'm doing. So, when the chicken's done browning, take that big pot that you have. If you're like me and you want to use as little dishes as possible for this, this is the way to go. So you open up the butter. Try not to get it on your hands, because who wants buttery fingers? The answer is no one. I'm actually going to move you guys back over here. I feel like you can see me more there. So, you melt the butter in the pan. I don't know why I'm doing it like this, but when I was younger it seemed to make it go faster. And those onions that you cut, you're going to put those in this pan with the butter and the spices and all the other stuff, like the thyme, the pepper, the salt, the chicken broth, the milk. All of that's going to go in here. Now I'm putting it in this because even at half the recipe, if you guys follow it the way I'm doing it, you're going to use about half the recipe as normal. If you want the whole recipe, you can just double everything. So instead of a stick of butter, you would use 2 sticks of butter. Instead of a cup and a half of chicken broth, you'd use 3 cups. Instead of 3/4 cup of milk, you would use a cup and a half. Also like to do it because I feel like butter can't sizzle if it's like this. Probably also turn it down. So go ahead and take those onions and just kind of drop them in there. That's why you got your spoon. You don't gotta touch it all. Once the butter is melted, you can go ahead and put in the other ingredients, being the salt and pepper. When I'm gonna sneeze. No, I'm good. Okay. Sorry if it seems like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't do cooking videos. Alright, so once it's all done, put in your thyme, your pepper, and your salt. Kind of, bam, I'm going to zelly that. Then you put in your flour. And then you pour in your chicken broth and butter, or your chicken broth and butter, yeah. Your chicken broth and milk, and you just stir it until it thickens up. That's how you make chicken gravy from scratch. If you want to save time, you could just use it from a bag. I think all you gotta do is just pour that stuff in and add water. So you just stir it till it gets thick, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so it's starting to get thick. I brought in my lovely assistant, Simone. So the gravy is now getting thick. It doesn't take very long. It takes maybe a minute to start getting thick. Minute and a half maybe. You just want to keep stirring it so that it stays thick. To make this slightly healthier, I like to add as much vegetables as possible. So we're going to add a corn, and we're going to add peas. You can get fresh or frozen. We're going to use frozen. And there's no real measurement. It's however much you want. Go ahead and stopping if you listen to stuff. Simone likes hers with peas. She's a pea kind of girl.
I'm from Iowa, so I like corn better. Me and that corn might tasty.
And you can put the chicken in first and then put that in.
Then the corn?
Either way, yeah, then the corn. That's a lot of corn. Okay,
The bag's slick a little bit.
It's going to be really corny. You want to put the chicken in as well? Do you want to put the chicken in? Grab the white spoon. Once you put the chicken in, I like to fold it in so that it gets coated in the gravy.
And drain the juices.
Well, yeah, and try and drain the juices. I'm using the wrong spoon for this. My assistant handed me. I didn't tell her which spoon to hand me, so that's on me. You can drain the juice. You don't have to.
If you're more fatty, you can.
It helps if your assistant doesn't eat all the chicken.
I ate a piece that fell. I like chicken. Chicken's good.
It just does not seem like enough today. And then your potatoes and corn, and if you chose to use celery, gets added in. Let's go ahead and just dump it in. And can you get the pie pan?
There it is.
It's on the bottom there. In the thing. So you're going to want to put this in a 9.5 inch pie pan. No, it's on the other side. It's over there. Once again, once you add the potatoes and everything. Alright, I'm good. Once you add the potatoes and everything, just like the chicken, go ahead and fold it in. Just so that everything gets covered in gravy. This is actually the thickest I've had it, where there's not like extra goo hanging from it. This is actually really nice. But one time I do a cooking video, it comes out, so there's like some extra, like the gravy will fold itself back.
For the record, this is one of my family's favorite dishes, and Andrew makes it really good for me.
Yeah, and if you're my older brother, who shall remain nameless, he doesn't make it as good as me, and his girlfriend gets upset. It's also, I did not realize, me and my brother's girlfriend have chicken pot pie in common. We really love it. And, Smoke, can you stir this while I put the pie crust there? She came home one day, and me and Small were staying with my brother, and she found out what we were having, and she's all like, we should have it every night. So this is what it looks like. Yeah. I like just having it like that, and even at half the recipe, it makes so much that you could have 2 bowls of that and leftovers for the next day of just the filling. And then you got pie crust. We got the light puff, because it was on sale. You could use whatever kind of pie crust you want. I like to make this as cheap as I possibly can when I make it. So you just roll it out, ladle that in, cover the top. If you're like an expert and want it to look like, you know, a real kind of like apple pie kind of thing where it's crossed, feel free to do that. I'm not that good, so I don't do that. Then you put it in the oven at 425 for 35 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to cool off, and then you're done. That's it. So, yeah. I'll show the end product in a minute.